Hey guys, welcome back to Plot with Trish. I am Trisha and today we're gonna discuss about Empire of Storms. This book it broke my heart. I was sobbing. Tears have fallen on the last couple of pages. I could not. Yeah, this book was terrible, but in a good way. How do I explain it? Yeah, anyways, you guys will get to know why it's so intense. The ending is. Anyways, the book starts off with a prequel as to what actually happened in the wars which Elena and Gavin had fought. So turns out it just shows that Elena and Gavin are discussing on how they're going to stop Erawan, and they trapped Erawan using the lock. Elena had actually stolen the lock from her father Brannon. She had stolen it and just locked up Erawan uh, to postpone the inevitable, to postpone the fight to people who can actually fight it, so her people would be saved. Yeah, you're gonna hate her. So Aelin, Rowan, everyone, they're on their way to Terrasin, and Aelin was trying to gather allies in Terrasin. They were supposed to meet with Darrow. Darrow was actually Orlon's lover, her uncle's lover, and he was in charge of Terrasin right now. So Aelin meets Ren, and they have the meeting with Darrow. Darrow is an asshole who does not trust Aelin. All he sees is Selena Sardotian. He does not. He is such a piece of shit the way he talks to her. I want him dead. I hate him so much. I hate him more than I hate Kale for the way he spoke to her. I feel like no one actually wants to see who she is. They just want to see the assassin who spent the riches in Drifthold. Um, Anyways, so they turns out Darrow already had a private meeting and they all voted for her not to be queen. So Aelin then finds out about the plan that the witches have to attack Rifthold. Erawan sends the witches to attack Rifthold where Dorian is, and there's actually no protection for Dorian there. So Aelin sends Rowan there to protect Dorian and get him, and they plan to meet on Skull's Bay. So Aelin leaves to meet Rolf and promises Darrow that even though they turned their backs on her, she would never turn her back on Terrasin. She would bring her allies. Uh, what else? Yeah. So Aelin, Aiden, Lysandra, they head to Brannan's temple. She wanted to rally the Mycenians. So the Mycenians are kind of like an extinct race of people who used to fight with sea dragons. So because the Mycenians had left because Adarlan had occupied the temple or something of that sort. Anyways, they were banned from there, and Aelin wants to bring them back. The witches attack Dorian, and Manon ends up saving Dorian at the exact time Rowan appears. Manon kills a yellow like sentinel, and the witch killer thing, her scent gets attached to her, and somehow Rowan and Dorian escape, and Rowan and Dorian start becoming friends, and he helps him with magic and stuff. So yeah, now back to Aelin. Aelin and Aiden take back the temple. Brannon's soul is in the temple, like how Elena's soul is near her sarcophagus. So he speaks to her, he speaks to Aelin, and he tells her to find the lock in the stone marshes to seal the keys with the eye of Elena. So the chief overseer who had actually whipped Aelin when she was Selena in Endovier, he shows up. And inside him, Erawan is there. And Aelin tries to attack Erawan, but Erawan is too strong and just blows her back. And then he disappears just to show her a taste of his power. Um, then, yeah, Rowan and Dorian reach Skull's Bay and they meet Rolf. So turns out Erawan, that is Duke Perrington, has declared Dorian as a traitor, and he has made Holland the king of Adarlan. And Gabriel and Fenris show up. Fenris is another one of the cadre, the wolf dude. He's so cute. Anyways, so turns out he also has a twin named Connell. So Fenris never wanted to be attached to Maeve, but Maeve forced Connell to sign up the blood oath with her So he was also stuck with Maeve because of his twin brother. So turns out Maeve was sending her armada to Nehemiah's country, uh, and Gabriel and Fenris were sent to kill Lorcan for betraying Maeve. Then Rowan reveals to them that Aiden is Gabriel's son. Okay, and he makes a deal with them saying that you help us and we will tell you where Lorcan is located. Stand with us. So they take the deal because you can work around the loop. So Dorian was continuously training with his magic, and Aelin finally shows up in Skull's Bay as Selena. Obviously, Rolf does not know Aelin is the Queen of Terrasin. He only knows Selena Sardate and the 16-year-old blonde who forced him to release all the slaves. Badass. Anyways, Selena is sitting at Rolf's table, but turns out that was just Lysandra. That was just Lysandra playing, taking a role of Selena. And then finally, Aelin walks in, and Aelin and Rowan have those sparks and whatever. Um, then Aiden and Gabriel come face to face, and Aiden is like, "Hell no, I am not, gonna deal with this shit right now." Because, okay, I get his anger, okay, because his mom died without even naming his father, died without taking the phase help because she was so afraid that it would go to Maeve and Maeve would claim Aiden. Okay, I get it, okay, the guy has a right to be angry, but Gabriel honestly did not even know his son existed, okay, happens. Anyways, so turns out Morad's armies are positioned so that Terrasin cannot get any aid from anywhere in the south, and they're all ready to strike Nehemiah's country because Erawan knows how much that country means to Aelin. Then turns out Rolf is Mycenian. Never saw it coming. Aelin summoned the Valg, sent out a bit of a power and summoned the Valg to the shores of Skull Bay to show him what was going to happen to his island, to force him to fight against the Valg, force him into deal. So he agreed that if she fights them, he will give her his army. So they got ready to fight the Valg. Lysandra turned into a huge sea dragon to motivate the other Mycenians to come out, because the Mycenians would return only once the sea dragons would return. So Helen and Rowan start spiraling down into the well of the magic. They tie themselves with iron so that they don't go too much into the well. And unfortunately, she was wearing the amulet of Orinth, which is a word key. So while going deep into her powers, the amulet opened a gate. Because it's a word key, it opens gates. And Diana, goddess of the hunt, possessed her, possessed Aelin. And it was not Aelin's wildfire that came out of her, it was moonfire and silver eyes. And Rowan did not, you could not see Aelin inside. Aelin was locked in a cage, and Diana was looking out. And then she says a riddle about something about the lock again. And she's a god, but these gods are assholes, okay? And she tries to kill the people on the shore instead of the Valg. And Rowan jumps in front of her, and then Aelin bursts out to prevent Diana from killing Rowan and takes control of her body, kicks her out of her body, literally. Aelin is so mad. She's like, hell no. No one has the right to take over my body. Obviously, God or whatever. Um, Aelin wipes out the Valg, but the Valg also bought sea wyverns which were attacking Lysandra. Lysandra somehow escapes, Aiden is helping her, and they somehow, all of them made it to the shore. Lysandra barely survives, but she somehow manages it. So Aelin and Rowan finally do it. They got down on the sand and did it. Yeah, everyone is doing it in this book. And then they finally go back to the room. They're scent clinging onto each other, and then they summoned Elena. So it turns out Mala, the goddess Mala, she is Elena's mom, ancestor of Aelin and Dorian. So Mala sacrificed her life to make the lock, and idiot Elena used that lock, which was supposed to be used to send Erawan away, to lock him up. Anyways, then Aelin leaves Skull's Bay, and they're on their way, and Manon shows up. Now pause. Okay, let's go back, because a lot of stuff is happening in Manon too, and we can't keep going back and forth. Anyways, so as you know, Manon saved Dorian and killed Iskra's sentinel. they are taken back to Morad, and they have a whole, sentencing thing. So Manon's sentence is that Astrid has to die. Her grandmother sentences it because her grandmother is an evil bitch who just wants Astrid dead, as if the things she has done are not enough. So she sentences Astrid to death, and the day for Astrid's execution comes, and Manon says that she wants to execute Aston because if she does not volunteer to do that, the witches have all the power to torture Aston as much as possible before executing her. So Manon was about to execute Aston, and then she decides not to because she loves Aston so much, and so she attacks the matron, her grandmother. And while they're fighting, her grandmother reveals that Manon's father is a Croken prince, and she is the last Croken queen. The grandmother had killed her father and made her a child of war. Manon was supposed to be a child of peace. And the Croken that she killed in the previous book turned out to be her half sister Rhiannon, who had come looking for her. She said that you were not born evil, you were made to be evil. So, yeah, Manon's grandmother I just want to rip her head off. I hate her so much. So, Manon is severely injured. The 13 somehow managed to escape, and Manon lands in the Oakwold forest where one of the bloodhounds of Erawan start chasing her. These bloodhounds are creepy as hell, okay? They can change the way they look and stuff to lure people into their traps. So somehow she manages to escape, and she's, her stomach, her intestines are hanging out literally because that's how badly her grandmother cut her open. So Abraxas gets Manon to where Aelin was on her ship for help. So Aelin takes Manon prisoner because she can't trust her. I get it. They're both badasses. Um, so Manon tells Dorian everything about Elite, and Dorian tells Aelin that Elite is still alive, because Elite's mother was the one who sacrificed her life for Aelin to escape. So obviously Aelin is relieved, but she hits Manon because Manon left her alone in the forest. Anyway, well deserved because first of all she's limping and stuff. Okay, so then Dorian and Manon have their sparks and flirtiness and whatever. Uh, but then one of the creatures, those bloodhounds, they showed up at the ship and disguised themselves as Fenris, and only Manon could recognize it. None of them recognized it. So it sent all the info about Aelin to Erawan, and Erawan knows that Aelin has one key. So more of the Ilkin show up, and it exposes that Manon is a Croken queen. So now we know that we have two queens on that ship. Huh. I'm surprised it didn't capsize. Anyways, so Fenris gets poisoned, and Aelin and Rowan somehow manage to heal him. They're fighting and they kill all the Ilkin, and they continue traveling. And then they talk about Maeve, and then Fenris mentions that Nameless is the prize for Maeve's allegiance. And Fenris says that Nehemiah's country is burning. So turns out someone had attacked Nehemiah's country with fire to make it look like Aelin had burnt it, but obviously Aelin would never. So Manon looks at the Eye of Elena and sees the witch marking on it and says it's called the Eye of the Goddess. So both of them are confused as to what it is. Then they go into the stone marshes, and they find a chest, and inside the chest there's a witch mirror. Okay, now let's go back again. I'm sorry, I know, but there are 3 different areas the story is occurring, and all of them come together, and it's amazing, but it's so hard to talk about it. So going back, now we're going to talk about Elide and Lorcan. So Elide was alone in the forest where Manon had dropped her off, going to Terrasin, and Lorcan had killed witches and was running away. He was watching her, wondering what the weird witch scent around her was. He thought that she was Valg because she was carrying one of those keys. And then Lorcan and Elide meet, and they escape because one of the Ilkin was stalking her, both of them. And Lorcan kills him and escapes. Then she tells him everything about Morad except for her name. She calls herself by her mother's name, Marion. So Lorcan obviously believes her. Elide is very talented. So then Elide and Lorcan join a circus, and they decide to play husband and wife. Um, then they join the carnival thing, and then the carnival gets attacked by the Ilkin, and he gets to know her real name is Elid, and he kills the Ilkin and confronts her, and they both fight, and then they finally tell the truth to each other. And then Elid gets to know that Aelin is not actually in Terrasin. She has left Terrasin, and then the stupid ass carnival betrayed them for money, obviously. What else? Then Lorcan tells Elide about Selena being alien, and he realizes the amulet is fake, and he's like super, super, super upset. He calls her the fire breathing bitch queen, okay? And then Vernon, her uncle, and the Elkin end up catching Elide while Lorcan is buying supplies, and she tries to kill herself because she does not want to be bred with Valg. And Lorcan ends up saving her and promises her that he will always find her and always be there for her. Then Elide and Lorcan end up reaching the stone marshes where Aelin, Man, and everyone is. Yeah. So finally, now the setting is at the stone marshes where every character is there. Okay. So Elide and Lorcan become become intimate. They almost do it. They have the hots for each other and stuff. They're falling for each other. But then the Ilkin show up. Okay. And an army of Ilkin had arrived at the stone marshes. So Lorcan sends out his warning that the Ilkin were arriving, okay? Like a pulse of his power, and Rowan recognizes it, and they all assemble at the marsh. So Elide and Lorcan were hiding low below, and they see Aelin. Elide sees Aelin, the person she was looking for all this time, okay? She was like completely struck. And Aelin gathers all of her firepower, everything in her, and she and Rowan hold hands. And I mean, no, Rowan is fighting down, sorry. And Aelin releases her entire wildfire on every Ilkin that's coming through, and they all just drop dead. They're burnt. She has so much power, so much power. I love it. And she kills the entire legion. And then Elide and Lorcan's location gets exposed, and Gabriel and Fenris are there, sent to kill Lorcan, and they go to kill Lorcan while Elide throws herself onto Lorcan to protect him from them. She decides to sacrifice her life, but Fenris ends up biting her by mistake instead of Lorcan and hurts her. Lorcan is like so upset that because her hand is barely hanging on at this point, so he decides to sacrifice his life and lets down the shield so that they can heal Elide. Okay. Um, then Aelin and Manon finally reunite with Elide, and Aelin is sobbing, because Marion literally sacrificed her life, and that's her daughter. So Aelin is like obviously overcome with a lot. That was like one of her deepest wounds inside. Okay, God, I'm getting tears. Anyways, so uh, Elliot gives the word key to Aelin and tells her Caltain's last words to thank her for the cloak and the for warmth. And so they find the witch mirror inside the chest, and they get on the ships, and Ansel shows up, from Assassin's Blade. Ansel, the silent assassins. Yeah. Ansel, the queen of Briarcliff, shows up with her entire army. They have taken over Melisande, and Manon is super upset that there's a queen of the Western West because it's supposed to be her country. But okay, whatever. We'll deal with that later. So Ansel conquered Melisande and Terrasen's name, and she was out to find Croken witches, and she showed up for aid. So it also shows that, I mean, she reveals that Maeve was the one who was setting the fires to make it look like Aelin was doing it to turn people against her. And Manon and Dorian finally do it. Phantom Hands Dorian, Shadow Daddy Dorian, yeah. Then Maeve and her armada arrived just as they were leaving the stone marshes, and Maeve asked them to surrender or die. Dorian figures out the riddle that Diana had said. The witch mirror that they found was actually a traveling mirror, and only Manon and Aelin could enter it hand in hand. Fire and iron. Yeah, their lives are intertwined. Anyways, so they use it together. At the same time, Lorcan, Fenris, and Gabriel uh, It's revealed that Lorcan, Fenris, and Gabriel had actually helped Rowan and Ellen in Mistward without Maeve's permission. They got belted. Literally, they got whipped. They had been punished severely. That was revealed to Rowan, and Rowan was taken up by emotions. And then Maeve's armada attacked. Yeah, sunrise came, Maeve's armada attacked. And Aelin and Malin were inside the mirror. They were not there to help. Uh, I forgot to say, Abraxas had left before they reached the stone marshes because they could not be seen there. Anyways, now talking about Aelin and Manon, it took them to the past, to Elena, to show all the memories, all the explanations. So it turns out the lock had been had made Erawan's sarcophagus from the mountains to bind it. The lock was to bind all. Actually, the purpose of the lock was to bind all the word keys and to send Erawan and the gods home. The gods were supposed to take Erawan home. That was the deal. But then Elena used it wrongly. So Rhiannon Croken, Manon's ancestor, who turns out Manon is exactly like Rhiannon, except Rhiannon had black hair and Manon has white hair. Anyways, so Rhiannon Croken and Mala together had forged the lock. So the god said that the price has to be paid because you guys betrayed us. So the price is that Mala's bloodline, also Brannan's bloodline, would bleed to forge the lock again. As in, either Aelin or Dorian's life would have to be given. Every drop of their life force would have to be given to forge the lock again, to send Erawan back with the gods. That was the deal. And Elena had to be the one to stay and prepare Selena for it. Aelin for it. Yeah. So Nehemia was also in the stone marshes. Turns out she had reached there long ago. This is the memory, yeah. So Nehemia meets Elena over there, and Elena sends her to Selena to break her. Nehemia first thought she was the one to be sacrificed, but no. She had to be sacrificed in a different way. Her entire murder was orchestrated, and Aelin saw every bit of it, and she was heartbroken. Either Dorian or Aelin had to be ready to sacrifice their lives. It had to be one of them because both of them come from Mala's bloodline. They have the raw power. Yeah. So, while all this is happening, Rowan goes to each one of his cousin ship, the Whitehorn ships, and begs his cousins to fight for them, to serve Aelin, and literally gets on his knees and begs them that he loves this woman so much. Yeah. So Maeve was on the shore of the stone marshes, with Elid. Yeah, they had sent Elid there for safekeeping, but she was on the stone marshes with Elid, and she summoned Gabriel and Fenris. Then also turns out that Elena had actually saved Aelin on the riverbank. Aelin had died because of the cold water, but Elena revived her and leads Arabin to Aelin to train her, to let her live, to let her survive, to give her a chance to survive. She wanted Aelin to meet Rowan, you know, to have an opportunity to love the way she loved um Gavin, the way she loved Gavin. Yeah, she wanted to give Aelin that opportunity. Then Aelin and Manon walk out of the mirror and they end up on the shore where Maeve was with the lead. And Aelin is utterly drained. She cannot fight Maeve. Um, Maeve was about to kill Elid because Lorcan was completely enamored by Elid. Yeah. So then Abraxas shows up. Abraxas also brought the 13. He found them and he brought them, so they also help in fighting. There's a war going on in the sea and there's a war going on the shore. Yeah. So Rowan, Aiden, everyone is holding the fort down there. And on the shore, Aelin and Maeve are about to go to town. Literally. So, turns out Lorcan was the one who summoned Maeve there when he saw Ansel, and Aelin knew it and she didn't tell anyone. Maeve had signaled Morath about Aelin's powers, and so that they could send the Elkin, so Aelin's powers would be utterly drained, so she could take Aelin and the keys. Aelin and Maeve unleash their powers, and Maeve tortures Aelin and severs the blood oath to Lorcan. Then Maeve reveals that Rowan and Aelin are actually mates. Yeah. She messed with Rowan's Fey instincts to make him think that Lyria was his mate, and then had Lyria killed so she could break him and he could swear the blood oath to her. And Aelin was going to settle in 5 years to live an extremely long life with Rowan. She had a chance. She thought she was just human, but she had forever. And Maeve took everything from her. Aelin surrenders herself to save Elide, and Manon is standing at the side not helping, just to take Elide away. Uh, Maeve makes Aelin bow and take off her shirt, and Cairn, he is a sadistic, ruthless bastard. Cairn whips her. We all know that Selena was whipped in Endover, and Cairn whips her. It's horrible. And then Maeve locks her in an iron box with iron chains and puts an iron mask on her. Yeah. Man, and then Manon takes a lead. Turns out Aelin had slipped the word keys into Manon's pocket while she was rage baiting Maeve. Um, and Manon didn't help because she didn't want Maeve to get to know that she had the keys. Maeve also breaks the blood oath from Gabriel, but she does not break it from Fenris and takes Fenris too. Turns out, and then finally, Rowan and everyone show up after Maeve takes Aelin away, imprisons her, to torture her, to break her. Yeah. So, turns out Aelin had actually married Rowan to give Terrasin a legitimate king, and Manon and Elliot tell everything to Rowan, Aiden, everyone about what had taken place on the beach. And Aelin had revealed to Lysandra long back because she realized the meaning of nameless is my prize, and she told Lysandra everything, and they has to plan together. So Aelin was going to die in secret. She was going to sacrifice her life. She didn't even think, of asking Dorian for help. She just took it upon herself, and she decided she was the one who was going to give her life to forge the lock, and she was going to die in secret. No one would know that Aelin was dead, and Lysandra would wear her skin and marry Rove. And rule Terrasin. And for the heirs, they would assume it was Rowan and Aelin's heirs, but then it would be Lysandra and Aiden's heirs. Yeah. Uh, because Aiden and Aelin look alike, like practically twins. Yeah. To continue the bloodline. That was the plan. And yeah, so Aelin was gone. Shit. And Rowan is utterly lost. Aiden is so angry at Lysandra for the plan. He was so disgusted and angry. And then, okay, so Manon leaves to find the Krokins. She gives the word keys to Dorian. And then Galen Ash River and the Silent Assassins arrive. You know, turns out Aelin had written a note to Galen Ash River saying that I hope you remember Evelyn Ash River. She died. Don't forget her. And they showed up to as her army, and so did the Silent Assassins. So now you have Silent Assassins, Galen's army, and Ansel's army. Enough to fight the war. They had the 13. Yeah. So Lysandra takes Aelin's form to lead the army because no one can know that Aelin is gone. Because who would fight for Terrasin then? Rowan, Lorcan, Elide, and Gabriel were going to bring Aelin back. They were going to find Aelin, and Dorian was going to leave with the witches to Morath. I think Morath, wherever, to find the Krokins. So yeah, that was the end of this book. I cannot tell you how much I cried for Aelin. Aiden was eating his words when he asked her where the army was, because he thought finding the lock was useless. What do you think you're going to fight against Ravan, bro? Fire isn't enough. You need to send the guy away. You can't kill him here. So, yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching. Bye.